Hello, once again, and welcome to a live edition of, well, sort of live edition to the Paranormal Night Stalker. I am Joel Walling, of course, with me as always is Michael Smith. In this case, it would happen to be the half awake Michael Smith, seeing as how I'm West Coast and he is East Coast, and it's 11 p.m. where he is and 8 p.m. where I am. So I am
Making me
still,
stay up late.
yeah, making you stay up late and still somewhat functioning because this has been one hell of a week. But besides that, again, like I said, we are sort of live because here's the way this is going to work. As you can tell, I'm actually live right now. So is Michael. But we do have a pre-recorded interview with the bench breaking broads. Now, what we're going to do is our little banter and talk about some of our usual normal bull crap that we normally talk about at the beginning of all of our shows. And stay around in the chat room. If anyone wants to come over and talk to us, they can. We're going to be here. We're going to be answering questions, which just dawned on me. It's not going to be quite like it was when the way I was describing it, because we're not going to actually be on the air at the time. But after the show, if we get any good questions or anything like that, I guess we can answer it. I will also be typing in the chat room because I can do that through the power of my little computing machine here. And if Michael wants to go onto the Spreaker site, he can do so as well. If not, like I said, we'll be answering some of them on air, some of the good ones. If you guys have any, I'm going to be sharing this around on various different places in Facebook world. Some of the places that I guess you would say I haunt on there, because frankly, after the 9,270th blurry picture of what do you see, I can't answer anymore, people. I'm sorry. Because what I see is the same thing I see in every damn picture. Someone that don't know how to take a damn picture. But of course, I guess it's really the phone company's fault, since they've now put a camera in everyone's hand. They should be drug out in the street and beaten with a rubber hose. But
Yeah.
anyway, go for it.
I don't know. We've been busy today. We've been doing research today.
Yes, we have. We've been doing lots of research today, and maybe one time, at some point, we can get Pete or Kelly or one of them from VPS to come on and talk about some of it. That would be awesome, because we actually are are the historic researcher, or well, not historic, just researchers for the Vancouver Paranormal Society. And that, I tell you, that's actually God, some of the cases they got coming up right now are freaking awesome. And I'm stuck up here in the middle of Kitimat, and well,
And I'm
at
5,000 miles away in South Carolina.
at least we're not in Chicago. That's all I
Yeah,
got to say.
you know it's bad. You know it's bad when the water in your commode freezes and your tank blows up.
And I do have to say, if anyone from Chicago is listening, please stay warm, and we're sorry you're in Chicago. Just to clarify that. Not saying anything against Chicago particularly, just the simple fact that, well,
It's cold
it's
there.
really freaking cold there. I mean, we're talking about cold on a whole other level. Something that none of us should ever have to experience. And again, like I said, if you happen to be listening in Chicago, we're sorry you're in Chicago. And other than the I keep on wanting to say the bench breaking broads. It's too many R's. Bench breaking broads interview that we did do pre-record. What? Jesus, about a week ago now.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're going to be live doing the chat room, and we're going to talk about a few things. I don't know if Michael has a Doofenspurts more Tonight was not the night to go live. Holy crap! I
Well,
should have known
well
that.
we screwed the pooch on this one, folks.
Yeah, I should have known that earlier, because we actually did I did a recording with psychic medium Sherry for Portals to Enlightenment. Actually, it's going to be a special Valentine's Day episode, and it's going to be, actually, I opened up and told a couple of personal stories about myself, including how I ended up meeting my wife, and a story about a paranormal story about my grandmother. And if anyone's wanting to listen to that, that one's going to be out Wednesday, February 13th. So that's going to actually be one to kind of neat. And for people who've been listening for years and know, I don't normally put out very much personal information or personal stuff. It's two actual personal stories from me, so you might be interested in that if you wanted to catch that. And again, it's going to be on February 13th. and that was a very awkward recording. I just couldn't. We both of us kept getting tongue tied really bad, and it was just. It's like I said. It's been a long week. Period. And for just everybody, I know Sherry was just getting over the flu. Plus, she's on live on Sunday. She's going to be on Paranormal Horizons, which might as well, since I'm doing it, we'll point out is now on the Night Stalker Podcast Network. So you can find it on Spotify and iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Podcast, Podcast Addict, and 5,275 other places, including where I'm going to pitch right now a new app that's available on both Android and ISO called Radio Public. Now, this I know a lot of people have the idea that, okay, you get a podcast going, you're getting into the thousands of listens and all this, and you're just making tons of money. And I'm going to tell you this right now, that's not true.
No.
No, 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 no. To quote Bruce Willis from Sin City, there's wrong, and then there's that. Because we have made next to no money in this. I mean, we're talking like McDonald's value meal level money here. Um, if you are a download listener, not necessarily one through streaming, but if you're a download listener, if you download Radio Public now it's got almost all the podcasts you possibly want to find on it, but if you've Radio Public, if you download that and download us through it, we will be getting paid for those downloads. Not to put down Spreaker, because Spreaker has helped us out a great deal with distribution, but the fact of it is, the ads that you hear at the beginning of this, the middle of this, and the end of this, they're basically making dollars and we're making pennies. They're making tens of dollars and we're making pennies. And this is still basically making pennies, but the fact of it is, we get paid better by them. And it doesn't affect the ads that we have on here, and we are also open to sponsors. I mean, we've got our show, the Paranormal Night Stalker. We've been doing this just about as long as anybody in the business, except for someone like maybe Clyde Lewis with Ground Zero or Coast to Coast AM. Other than that, really, we're neck and neck with some of the I guess you would say the newer of the old shows. And a lot of the newer shows we eclipse. We've been doing this far longer than they have. Then you've got Paranormal Crossings, Into the Unknown. They have been doing, Aaron has been doing this on television. He's been doing this for over a decade in some form or another, or not over a decade, sorry. He's been an investigator for, I think, over a decade, but he's been doing the show for, I think, 5 to 6 years. Television, he's done it on radio, he's done it on the internet. Again, these are things that, will help all of them. Psychic Medium Sherry will help Paranormal Horizons, because like I said, we're getting to a point now where the network and the shows are monopolizing all of our time completely. Finding new guests, finding new, different things like that, and we can't continue. We want to continue, and we're going to continue, but we need a little help getting, I guess you would say, like I said, the financial side of it going better. Another thing I'm actually considering, and maybe get some feedback from some people listening, is Patreon. Just stuff like that we can kind of set up and try to get some form, not necessarily income, but something to help offset some of the stuff. And that's where we're at now, because like I said, we're on Radio Public now. We're also on, of course, TuneIn, Spotify, which TuneIn is supposed to make us work through Amazon Alexa, and obviously there's tons of people finding us through Alexa, because I look at the TuneIn statistics and we're doing great. But the fact of it is, we still have not been able to find us through Alexa. I can't find us through Google Play. I do know actually something interesting, that I actually got an email notification today from Apple. Apple has now got it to where you can talk to Siri and find us. And this is all podcasts available on the Night Stalker Podcast Network. All you have to do is say, hey Siri, play, or Siri, or however you say her name, play and name the podcast, and it'll start playing the most recent episode. You can also say, hey, I like that, subscribe to it, and we hope you do. We hope you subscribe to all of our shows. Pretty soon, there's going to be 14 shows on the Night Stalker Podcast Network. And these are not just paranormal shows. It doesn't have to be just paranormal. We can do stuff that's going to be fun and entertaining. You got like Dr. John Stamey, who hosts Bigfoot and Company and Scarycast. He also hosts a show called Pop Culture All Stars, or Pop Culture Stars, sorry. They deal with different things from like Hollywood movies and comic books and music and just all kinds of different things on that. That's on the network. He's actually bringing another show to the network. It's going to be called Paranormal Down Under, because I do actually know we've got, and this is going to be coming, I believe, next week is the first episode. I will bring more details for that as soon as I can, but for our Australian fans, and I know we have a few, I've seen the numbers. The Aussies we have a presence in Australia, and I got to thank each one of them listening. But we're going to have one of you guys on here. We're actually going to have a show with him. He's going to be doing, I can't remember the man's name now to save my life, but he's going to have his own show. It's going to be called Paranormal Down Under. And it's going to be an all-Australian paranormal show dealing with the different cryptozoology from Australia and the different hauntings and the different groups and the different UFO sightings and things like that. So that's a whole other show being brought into the network. And Dr. John actually has one more that we're going to be doing, and I don't remember what it's called either. To tell you the gospel's truth, I can't remember.
The next show is going to be brought to you from the nearest mental hospital, because we're both going to be nuts.
Well, actually, I was telling my wife yesterday, I was like, sweetheart, this network thing, it's either going to do one of two things. It's either going to make us rich or it's going to kill me. And right now, killing me is in the lead. Because it goes back to the McDonald's value meal money from it. So rich is definitely not in there. But death is. Death is always in the cards.
And we're having fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And a lot of the different people we're getting to talk to and different people we're getting to meet and the different shows that are being on and hearing about this and, going with that. And it really is an amazing thing. It's really interesting. And I got to say, that's why I've said, we're going to continue this. Even if we don't make any damn money on it, we're going to still continue it. But it's going to get more difficult. That's all I'm saying. Because right now, I'll be totally honest with you guys, and I've done this before, I've joked it, because I am still an active investigator, don't forget that. I am still a active investigator. Matter of fact, I just had an investigation Monday, which we still haven't gone over the evidence for, because Tuesday, what was Tuesday? Tuesday, Tuesday I was sick or something. Well, I was a little off.
Yeah.
We'll just say that I was off. So I didn't do anything Tuesday. Wednesday, we did weren't we reaching out to the new networks?
Yeah, we did platforms all day.
Yeah, then, and June was live Tuesday night. Dark Side of the Paranormal is going to be coming live Wednesday night, sorry. Wednesday night at 7 p.m. I've talked to her to try to get her to switch it over to 8 p.m. But as it stands right now, she is going to be doing the live show every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. 7 or 8 p.m. We'll work that out in the near future. She was live that. Then the next night, we started the research for VPS. We're not started, but we really cracked down on the research from VPS. And we had, Ryan Stacy, UCF.
Yeah.
Ryan Stacy was live Thursday night, and we had a conference call with Pete Wren and Kelly Berg from VPS. That was Thursday, and now this morning we get up and all day we were all day Thursday also dealing with. No, that was right. We did that Thursday. We did more of the research on Wednesday. Did that on Thursday. We started contacting the different groups
And then we did
because,
more research. Today, all day today was research all day long.
well, it keep on coming up with new stuff, and I hate when I do that because that to me research is never done. You
No,
know,
you could dig forever on a you could dig forever on a location and go back as far as you wanted to go, and you'll find new stuff. It
and
gets to the point where you get so much that you can't
yeah,
process
you
all of it.
at some point you got to say, okay, enough is enough. But it's like then something happens, and you're just like, ah, damn, mother, son of a bitch. We're just. I was literally writing out the email with the report in it, and I read one line on something to refresh my memory, and I found out that the area we were looking in had a name change, and I'm like, oh, damn it to hell. So right back into the archives I go. Because, because okay, let me explain something to the people listening who may not be familiar with Canada. If you're in the US or whatever, you might not be familiar with Canada because honestly, I'm not totally familiar with Canada. But like with the US, uh, colonization started in Canada from the east and moved west. Except Canada was a little bit behind the US, where the western expansion happened in the mid to late 1800s. The western expansion really kicked up here in the late to 1800s to early 1900s. The place we're looking at did not even become a town, a recognized municipality or incorporated until 1873. So there was a lot of change in the history then. We're talking no real roads, basically one or two points in and out that connected it with the eastern half of Canada. And all of this was not in like the 1800s. This was all in the 19 teens and the 1920s. And I'm going to be completely honest, Canada is not the greatest at keeping records. And it's really, like I said, there was one line mentioned in an afterthought that talked about
Well,
a civic meeting in 1907 where they proposed changing the name of a road.
when you do research, and people don't often realize when you do paranormal research, most of the time you're doing more historical and property research than you are. Your research at that point isn't paranormal. You're not looking at ghost stuff. You're looking at property records, tax records, and who lived where when, and what kind of land was this back in 1812, and
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that. And I mean, you don't really get into the paranormal side of it until after the investigation's over, when you get whatever data may have been collected or any anomaly that they find. Then you get sent. Well, what the hell do you think this is? Because we don't know.
You know,
And that's when that starts. And then you have the somewhat dubious task of deciding whatever they've got. Is it actually something paranormal? Is it something that's ordinary that was just misinterpreted, or was it?
yeah. And
What
it's,
is it?
it's like I've talked about on the show several times. I've talked about it is EMF induced psychosis. I know I probably drive people a little crazy with that because I think a lot of the time in the paranormal field, EMF induced psychosis is kind of ignored.
A lot of times the EMF itself is ignored.
But the fact of it is, I've experienced it. I know what I saw, what I heard, and what I felt. And I know none of it was real. And it's not like it was something paranormal. It wasn't like I was looking at it going, oh crap, this is a ghost or something. No, I know, looking back, I know, I look at it and I say it. I know this was a hallucination. It was not real. But I heard and saw a man trying to kick in the door to my house. Enough that I grabbed a weapon and was going to fight. And had to be like physically stopped by two people who are sitting there telling me there's nothing going on. There has nothing been going on. My brother thought I was dreaming, but I'm not. I was awake. I could still hear it. And it
Yeah,
all went away when I moved away from the EMF source. And we're not
yeah.
talking moving houses, I'm talking rearranging my room. As
Well,
soon as
yeah,
I moved my bed, I was fine.
when you were bathing your brain in an EMF field.
Exactly. And that's why, like this investigation we were on Monday. I told the lady there, I was like, I'm going to do a baseline EMF sweep. I'm going to check your outlets. I'm going to check your plugs. I'm going to check your lamps. I'm going to check your TVs. I'm going to check your stereo. I'm going to check everything in your house that's electric. And I'm going to see what kind of field it's giving off. And as simple as that, I told her, I was like, while I'm not saying what you're experiencing is, all I'm simply saying is what you're experiencing could be EMF. And, I checked it. Now, granted, her wiring, primo, top of the freaking level there, top notch wiring. Whoever wired that electrician, he needs to have a ticker tape parade because
You know he, you know
hmm,
his shit.
yeah, I put a K2 meter, and we're not talking a generic K2 meter. We're not talking a bullshit K2 meter. We're talking a K2 meter against an outlet, and I got a 0. I put it on a plug outlet with a plug and a lamp on it, and I got like a point 0.5. It flickered. So that place was insul. That wiring was top notch. So no, there was no EMF in that house. No EMF induced psychosis going on that one. It was just a primo wiring job. The guy did great. So, we went around, we did our thing. Like I said, I've got 3 cameras and a voice recorder to go over. John actually has started his review of it, and he was doing great. He actually said he got some things recorded, or he got some hits, he got some positive things going. Actually, he sent me that, and I've got to download that myself. I haven't done that yet. But as
When you
my
get that,
mom,
drop off for me.
well, actually, the Dropbox is full with all the other stuff.
Oh, yeah, we're behind a little bit. We got to work on that. I'm gonna be doing evidence review all weekend.
As my mama used to say, that suddenly became residue. I do some of it today, the res I do tomorrow.
Yeah, pretty much. I did
Except,
do a little.
hmm?
I did do a little doofenshmirtzing today.
Oh, you did do
If
it.
you want to,
I was
if you
about
want
to,
to,
I was about to say, do we need to?
yeah, go ahead and queue up. You want to queue up? You want to queue up the?
Yep, we got it in there.
All right. Well, I was messing around the other day, and I found a plan for a static field detector. And pretty much when it's all built, if you rub your fingers across your hair or across a wool blanket or your pants leg or your top or whatever, and then you touch the wire, a little light comes on. It's the static electricity from your body that's making this LED light up. And if you want, do we still have our Facebook page? Our Facebook page. I'm sorry, our
YouTube?
YouTube page. Yeah, I can actually do a video and put it on YouTube so people can see it. Um, but I was doing research today, and usually when I do research, I'm also filling around with circuits and whatever else, and trying different stuff. And so I've got a little engraving tool. It runs on two AAA batteries. You know, a little metal engraving bit in it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not very powerful at all. I think I got it at Harbor Freight for $1 or something. I had them in a clearance bin. One time I was there and I bought one just for giggles and shits. So I wonder what happened. So I had the static field meter hooked up, around 9-volt battery. It's DC, you know. So I turned on the engraving tool and put the metal bit in the engraving tool next to the bare wire on the antenna. And the little LED just going to town. I mean, just blinking real fast off and on. I took my millimeter and turned it on and checked it, and I created a magnetic. I knew I was going to create a field. I mean, you know, that's what I was trying to do, but I wanted to measure to see how much one I was making. And I think I peaked out at like 8 milligauss was the highest one I got. The plan is to set up a camera along with all these gadgets and various odds and ends and take pictures and see if the magnetic field affects the photographs of a digital camera. I have seen pictures of from investigations from other groups I've consulted for. That when they had one room especially, whenever they take a picture in a room, it never comes out right. It looks like it's all twisted up. Well, I know what it is. I told them what it was. It's a high magnetic field messing with the camera. And so I'm going to do some tests on that and see what I get and some other things. Only because, well, why not?
Yeah, it's kind of what we do.
And it was interesting because I've also got, I've got various boards with different circuits built on them. And one of them is a Hall effect sensor, which is what's used to measure, you put a magnet up against the Hall effect sensor when it's powered up and the light comes on.
Yeah.
Kind of what the K2 meter work, It's either got a Hall effect sensor in it or a reed switch. I'm not sure which it uses, but it probably uses a Hall effect sensor. And the reaction of the sensor, the output is proportional to the strength of the field. So the stronger the field, the more lights light up. Like in your K2, you get a weak one dot, you get a real strong field, and all the lights go on like that. But I want to be working with some EM fields and some different things. So I got that going on amongst all the research and the evidence review, and I'm never going to sleep ever again, am I?
There's plenty of time for sleeping when you die.
Yeah, I've got too much to do to sleep. So plus we got podcast stuff.
Yeah. So that has been your
That was my Doofenshmirtz moment for the day.
That was the Doofenshmirtz moment of the week. Which now, before we get into the bench breaking broads, I got something to bitch about. Surprise, surprise.
Well, wonders never cease.
All of the stuff that happens, it has this little button on here. It says share with Facebook. Well, I'm part of, as I've said, I'm part of about 75 groups on Facebook. But I've talked to a few of the group people that that I frequent, and I've said, hey, I have a podcast network. Would it be okay if I post paranormal podcasts in this channel? And all of them have said yes. So I do. I share it. I share the podcast feeds. I share the live videos I do with PNBC. I share all of that stuff, and I don't share it to all of them because all of them haven't responded. Some of them are very inactive groups and those kind of things. So I just say, no, I'm not going to do it. Never mind. It's not worth the time or the trouble. Well, tonight Facebook decides to block me from sharing to groups because I've done too much sharing to groups now.
Really?
Yes, they did. So, on behalf of the Paranormal Night Stalker and the Night Stalker Podcast Network, fuck you, Facebook. You piece of shit. What the hell is the point of having a button to share shit on Facebook and saying, share to groups or we're going to take you out of the groups because you don't share enough to the groups if you're not active in the groups, and then blocking you for sharing with the damn groups? I mean, come on. Use your fucking brain cells for a minute. What, is it not interesting enough for you to steal and sell to other people? Is that it? Is that the whole thing with this not letting me share to these groups? I mean, honestly, I don't get it. I mean, granted, I guess they could think, oh, well, it's spamming because you shared it to a lot of groups. Well, I'm part of a lot of fucking groups, and I'm active in all of those fucking groups. So you would figure they would realize, hey, maybe this guy's doing it. And I actually type stuff, directed to each groups, like, ghost pictures and videos, #2, paranormal happenings, paranormal hauntings, team spirit, paranormal. I'm part of all of these different groups, and I do all of this stuff with these different groups. So Facebook is telling me to share shit with my groups, yet at the same time telling me you can't share it. Again, fuck you, Facebook. And that's all I've got to say for that.
Okay. Well, I don't have much else.
That's what I'm figuring. Do you feel like we should maybe go on and bring up the bench breaking broads?
Yeah, let's give them the broad.
All right. And again, if you have any questions, we will be sitting here, twiddling our thumbs, listening to the bench breaking broads with you, waiting for your responses in there. But of course, I didn't get to share it to all the places I did because Facebook is a fucking asshole. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the interview, which I got to say we did have little technical difficulties in it, but I've worked on it as much as I can and gotten it to at least listenable. So enjoy the interview, and of course, for those of you who have downloaded, that will happen right after this ad. Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. This week we are joined by Bench Breaking Broads Ghost Hunting, correct? No,
yes. Yes.
All right. We don't have the whole team with us, but we do have Sue, Helen, and Margaret, and I'm going to just let them kind of give an introduction about themselves, what it is exactly they do and everything like that. So I will turn the floor over to you.
Sure. Well, I'm Margaret. I go by Mags. My sister, Sue, and I, we met at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital on a ghost hunt, and we got along fabulously. And so we started going about once a month or so, and then we just decided to form our own team. And Sue came in, brought Lisa in, and Helen brought Holly in. We all get along great, and we decided that we'll keep doing this as long as we continue to have fun. We've got several sites that we go to regularly, and then we also have anywhere else, and we also do private home investigations. So that's a little bit about how we all met. Helen, Sue, whoever wants to go next.
I'm Helen, and I'm Mag's sister. Like she said, we got started on this. We all met at an investigation. We originally wanted to do it once or twice a year, and now we're up to anywhere from 2 to 4 times a month. We're having a great time with it. We try to approach it with a very scientific and skeptical approach, trying to disprove everything and then looking at what's left.
Okay, I am Sue, and how we got our name, on the first investigation, we were a little nervous, and we were all sitting together on a bench, and we felt the bench give. We all noticed it. We felt it give again. We noticed it. And then the third time it gave, the bench broke, so therefore we are called the Bench Breaking Broads.
I love that.
I love that. I was going to ask that.
That actually,
that's a great name for a team. It really is. I love that.
I was actually just about to throw that in. I was like, and I got to ask, how did the name come about? That's a great story.
Well, and to expand on that a little bit more, there were other people on the bench, not just three of us. It was like a big old, and I felt I was at the end, of course. They always either put me at the end, first, or last. And I felt something sit down next to me, but there was no one there. And then the guy that was guiding us through the actual investigation was saying, "Oh, well, I see some lights over there and whatnot." And then I felt like whatever it was move a little bit. And that's when the bench broke. So technically, I think an entity broke that bench, not us.
Yeah.
I could go with that. That'd be my story, too. I wouldn't admit that,
Right.
Now, I know you guys have a very wide area that you actually will go into. I know I was looking at your site earlier, and it says Southern Kentucky, Tennessee, Northern Alabama, Northern Mississippi, and then there are other locations on request. Exactly how far does your reach go? How far are you willing to go just on general?
Well, we're kind of scattered. I live in Tennessee. Helen and Holly both live in Mississippi. Lisa and Sue both live in Alabama. But we're all within about 3-hour drive of each other, 3.5-hour drive. And so we try to keep our locations within like a 3 to 4 hour drive, no longer than that, just because we all have lives and have to get back on Monday. So we try to keep it within like a 3 to 4 hour drive. Now, like Helen and I have traveled some. We both went to Savannah just kind of on a vacation, but of course we investigated in Savannah. And then we also went to Alaska, so we investigated there as well.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, we always take some ghost equipment wherever we travel.
And I am from Pennsylvania, and so I have done the penitentiary in Pennsylvania.
Oh, really? I could, yeah, I totally blanked on that. I actually had a friend that was one of their favorite spots. They loved going there.
It is interesting.
Yeah, and actually that puts you in the neck of the woods of my one spot I really have always wanted to investigate, which is Gettysburg.
I have been there several times. Yes. It isn't so interesting.
That's, that was always, like I said, that's always been the one. I guess almost all investigators have that one spot that they really they want to get to.
Yeah.
And that's always been mine. Well, where's some of the other places? I know I was looking on, your site, which, I will be sure to put that address in here. But so where are some of the other places you've been? I know you actually had a public investigation a few months ago. Yeah.
Buchanan Log House here in Nashville, Tennessee is one of our regular gigs. I would just go about cold calling historic locations to see if they would let us in, and they did. And we go there. We try and go to Buchanan at least once every 2 or 3 months. The public hunts that we do, because we don't take any money, but the public hunts, we do ask a donation, and all of that money goes to the building. Buchanan's a log house that Mr. Buchanan himself was one of the founders of Nashville, but you don't hear a lot about him. You hear about several of the other ones, but they kind of just push James to the side. And so the log house is limited in the funds that they can get. So by doing these public hunts there, we're able to raise several $100s for them. Right now they're trying to, they had a leak and black mold in the basement. So we're trying to raise funds to cover doing all the drywall and stuff like that in the basement.
Oh, yeah, that takes a lot of, those kind of things. And it's a shame that something like that can actually just completely shut down a historic site.
Right.
Because
it
just really bothers me when that kind of stuff happens, because we end up losing that amount of history.
Yeah, us too. We all love history. And since it doesn't get all of the funding that some of the larger homes here in Nashville get, like, the Hermitage is Andrew Jackson's home. And then you have Belmont and a couple of other ones that are really big. And, of course, they get more funding because they can have more people there. Buchanan's fairly small. A lot of people just in the neighborhood don't even realize what it is. And that's sad.
You actually, I'm running into that more and more. I don't know if you're seeing that a lot down there, but like we went to a place, did a public presentation and everything at a place near here in Terrace, British Columbia, the Heritage Park. I would tell people where it was at, and they would look at me like I was crazy. They literally did not know it was even there. And even the stuff that's there is just part of the history. The land itself has been a military hospital. It was site of the largest military mutiny in Canada history during World War II. Nobody knows that happened.
That's sad.
And it's like I said, that's what I say when I keep talking about this with my team. We're a lot about trying to preserve history,
right?
And show, like I said, the people they didn't. Still even now don't realize a lot about the fact that there was 1,500 troops stationed in Terrace during World War II that literally said, "Hey, we're not doing this anymore," and they weren't getting good treatment, so they said they're done. And that was the largest military mutiny in Canadian history. Michael, is there anything you want to ask or throw on? I know you were the one that really actually, you did the research. You actually found them because, believe it or not, there are a lot of groups that have decided, since they didn't make it rich and famous in ghost hunting, they decided that it's time to take their ball and go home. And they quit.
I was looking for teams, for people to interview and stuff. And, I got to be honest, when I saw the name Bench Breaking Broad, I said, I got to try it. And then on top of that, you're from my home state because I was born in Tennessee. I'm from Tennessee.
Yay, Tennessee.
Yes. So I'll give it a shot, because a lot of the ones I went through on the list that I had weren't active. The websites were gone. Phone numbers were not any good.
Right.
Just took a shot.
Yeah.
Anymore, like you said, the number of good groups out there is really kind of small.
It really is. And I think it just helps us that it's just the five of us and our tech person who doesn't go on all the investigations. We're all friends. Of course, I can't get rid of Helen, but but we have decided, and we did decide very early on, that we would continue doing it as long as we continued to have fun. We don't approach it as, hey, look, we're trying to get famous, because we're not. We all have our own questions about it and what we want answered in our own minds. And that's, I think, why we've stuck around and continue doing it. And we've been doing it now for 14, 15 years now, y'all?
Yeah. We're getting
We
old,
we also decided early on not to add any more core members
Yeah,
because we don't want the drama.
exactly.
Oh yeah.
So
And we are an all-woman group, so that might, we think that helps in some investigations just to be all women too.
Yes.
So you've got this, and you've been, like you said, you were doing it now for 14 years.
Right.
And, I'm trying to get my wording right here. Sorry, like I said, my brain. I went through kind of a brain it just kind of fuzzled for a second.
Brain fart.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait, now we were doing something else, but now you're wanting to do this, and we don't know what we're doing anymore. And I'm one of those people that say, have you ever stopped to think and then forgot to start again? And that's my brain in a nutshell right there. It stopped to think and then never started again. So you have to bear with me sometime. But
no problem.
On the, like you said, you've been doing this for this time and you're not in it, and it's really the best way to look at it. And like you were saying about the drama that can come with adding, or I think it was Sue was talking about the drama that can become from adding in more members and all of this is kind of dodging out of that. I know, well, actually, I'm from that general area myself. Have there ever been any trouble, like, with other teams? Maybe, I don't know, maybe, like, kind of putting you down or anything like that? Is it always it's just been smooth sailing, or?
Well, I think every now and then we'll see people come along that might be trying to copy us or possibly snipe one of our regular gigs. But the way that we approach it, for example, at Buchanan, somebody had contacted them and they wanted to come. And just in speaking with the people at Buchanan and the other team, we just made it known, hey, this is one of our regular places. We'd love to have you guys come out. We're not trying to discourage you in any way, but we want to make sure that you're not the type that's going to go out there and mess up with the entities that are there, as in, the people that come in and demand that the entities speak with them.
Provoking.
And all that stuff.
Correct.
And we just try and kind of curb it on the beginning side. And, I think there's room for all the teams that there are out there. You don't have to run other people out of the hobby or anything like that. There's room for everybody.
Yeah.
And as long as we're all trying to do the same thing, then I don't think there's a problem.
Yeah, that's, well, actually, it's like I said, it's something that I've dealt with before, because I'm in Canada now, but I was actually born in Kentucky, and I lived most of my life in Wilmington, North Carolina, and we were just actually talking about this today with another friend of mine. There was a place in Wilmington, I believe it's Fort, oh Lord, now that one's even skipping my brain. It's not World War II, but a Civil War fort in Wilmington, or had been used in the Civil War. Well, there used to be a really big and active, I think even the original Ghost Hunters team was down there and filmed there and all sorts of stuff. It was a really big place to get into, until one of the teams came in and they had a party there. The people came in the next morning and there were hamburger wrappers and beer cans and all of this stuff all over the area. Now that place is like permanently shut down for any investigators. You cannot get in there at all.
Yeah.
And, like you were saying, it kind of, as long as it's a team that does it the right way.
Correct.
Everybody should be able to go to the places over and over and over again. I agree with that 100%. And I was also looking, now again, like I said, I'm kind of going off of the stuff on your site. I actually did do some actual prep for this episode. Normally I just ramble about randomly and see what happens. But I noticed that you put on your site that it actually says you do not participate in like witchcraft, voodoo, Santa Maria, all of that. I
Mm-hmm.
know with dealing with the deep south, you're actually there is a prominent level of that there. Have you
Yes.
ever just like stumbled onto it in an investigation, or maybe like if you can talk about it, if it was like a private residence or something that maybe the owners didn't know it had happened?
Mm, not not that I can really think of.
I can't
Now,
think of one.
we ask a lot of questions before we even go into a new location, especially a home investigation, because we don't
Oh,
want
wait,
to.
there was that one private residence, remember? Where the son.
Oh yeah, Max wasn't there that time, Helen. It was you and me and Holly and Lisa.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's right. We did find that out, and we did make some referrals when we were done as far as helping them, deal with that aspect, because we didn't know that he had done things like that.
And the parents didn't know either.
No,
Right.
not until we were well into it.
Right.
Well, that actually was going to be my next question. Because obviously you guys do have a presence online and everything like that. If someone was to contact you with something dealing with that type of I guess you would say haunting or entity or whatever, what steps do you have a referral system? Do you know other groups in the area that deal with that kind of thing or anything like that?
Yes, we do, and we refer to other groups. Here in Nashville, there's a good group, and I think they're all male, and they don't mind any type of like evil hauntings or anything. So we just refer it to them, because I mean, none of us want to bring anything home with us.
We don't want those risks.
Oh, believe me,
Right.
I know.
Exactly, and most people in this do understand those risks. It's just not a risk that any of us are willing to take.
Yeah, and sadly, since Ghost Adventures and Zach Bagans, it seems like that kind of stuff is really going on getting higher and higher and more likely to happen.
Yeah, you get that, and the trouble with some shows is that it does show a lot of that stuff. So young minds are watching this and going, "Oh, hey, let's go get us a Ouija board and play around with that," thinking it's a game when we all know it's not. And I mean, there's just so many things that can happen. And there's so many novices that think that they're doing something when all they're doing is opening themselves up to bad stuff.
Oh, definitely. I know it's. I used to actually talked about that with a writer. Her name is June Lundgren. She actually does. She specializes. Her team, Ghost and Girls, actually specializes in negative removal. That's all they deal with.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
She's like, she goes, it's the people. She goes, I always worry about the people, because she was talking about a team she actually got called in as to work with, and this person was sitting there talking, and it was like, well, I'm the resident demonologist. She's like, oh, so what did you do? How did you become that? Well, I've been doing it for 3 months, and I've read a book, and it's like, you're a demonologist and you've done this for 3 months and you've read a book. It's
right.
like, it's one of those things where it's sometimes the people who don't know what they're doing are even more dangerous than the kids that are doing it.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, we've noticed, although Joe does have a tendency to trip into things.
Just go on and say it. I'm like a magnet.
Oh.
I was trying to be kind, because every first case of every new team that Joe's been on has been bad and negative. We had one in Wilmington first case, and I did consulting on that one. Negative as the day is long. Just awful. I mean, you name it, and it had it.
Yeah.
He quits working for a while when he moved to Canada, took a hiatus from paranormal and did the, husband and wife and kid stuff and all that kind of thing. Decides to put a team back together again. They go to this place. It seems perfectly fine. It's outside. It's a freaking road, for God's sake. It's not even like a house or anything, just a road. And I'm thinking to myself, how much trouble could they get into on a road? Well, I forgot it was Joe. So next thing we'll do, we're calling our friend June Lundgren, who does negative removal, because everybody on the team except for Joe has got an attachment now.
Nice.
Because they're like trimming through a minefield wearing a summer dress with a bonnet, and and there we go. I mean, I'm 5,000 miles away. I can't keep him out of trouble. It's
Yeah, no, it's just my luck. They were new guys. They've never done any of this. We are the only team for about, I'd say probably 300 to 400 miles.
Yeah.
Where I'm at. We are the only team here. And for about 300 or 400 miles, honest to God.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I got to train these guys somehow. We take them out to a road. It's a back dirt road and there's a field. And I'm thinking, this is just perfect. Nothing's going to be, and we're not going to be messing with anybody. We've got a little bit of local folklore to go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not great. So, just getting a kind of round it up. Now, you guys have been saying that you've been doing this for a while, and like you said, you actually have traveled a little bit and done it. So, where are some of your favorite places that either you want to go or you have been, even if you got to travel out a little bit?
Well, we all did go to Waverly Hills there in Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
And they're wanting to go back. I am not. I got touched or whatever there, and I'm just not keen on going back. We all are planning on going to Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary down in around Wartburg, Tennessee, here in the spring. And that's a big one that we all are looking forward to. Brushy is where James Earl Ray was housed. And mine and Helen's father set up the pharmacy there years and years ago. So we're really looking forward to it because we kind of have a, outsider connection kind of to it.
Yeah.
I really liked, we had a personal residence up here in just right outside of Nashville that I had a great time at. The homeowner had lived a really rough life, and it was basically his grandmother and his father and brother were all there wanting to contact him to tell him how proud they were that he had survived all these things and gotten to the point where he was. Now, Sue and Lisa have their favorites as well. I mean, Sue and Helen, sorry, have their favorites as well.
I agree. The private homeowner.
Go ahead, Helen.
Go ahead, Sue.
I say my favorite is probably Buchanan Log Home, where we go frequently. I feel a personal connection there. The first time we went in there, I told Miss Lucinda, who is the woman of the house, that I would protect her from other entities and from people coming in trying to harm her. And so I think that set a bond right there between us. And so I just feel a personal connection to Miss Lucinda and the Buchanan Log Home. There is a place in Tennessee that our group went that is now closed, but that is a place that all of us have said we would never go back even if they were open. It just didn't feel comfortable there.
What place was it?
We suspect it had been.
I'm sorry, Helen, what'd you say?
I was going to say we think it had been contaminated by people, doing, behaving in unprofessional manners.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
And it's an old abandoned hospital.
You mind if I ask you where it's at?
Old Fayetteville Hospital in Fayetteville, Tennessee.
That sounds familiar. I don't know why.
I've heard of that myself.
Yeah.
It's now closed. They're not doing investigations there at all anymore. The people that ran it were awesome, and we just love them to death. Still good friends with them, and it's no fault of theirs at all. But it's, it just we just did not feel comfortable there as a team. And we have made a pact when we started that if one of us feels uncomfortable and has to leave, we all leave, no questions asked. And we've done that before at other locations.
Right.
Well, it is a good idea. I mean, I've been on investigations too where I was actually invited because I was building, it's actually how I got into this all to begin with. I actually got invited on an investigation because I was building a website for the team.
Cool.
And doing computer work for them. So it was like, well, hey, why don't you come and see what we do? And then I came in. I spent an hour or two on one door to figure out why it opened on its own because I was the last person through it, and I know I closed it. I did find out that they had been painting it. It was built in the house was built in the late 1800s, so they had painted over this door several times, and if you turn the doorknob too far, the catch doesn't come out all the way. It comes out enough to hold the door closed, but if wind or anything touches it, it comes open.
Gotcha.
So I was going crazy figuring that out, but there was one room in this place. The second you stepped in there, you knew beyond any doubt there was something in there, and you were not welcome there.
Wow. Yeah.
That fight or flight instinct kicks up, and they actually asked one of the other guys that was with C-Spot Paranormal.
Yeah.
And, his name's Jason, and he looks over at me and he goes, "So, do you feel anything or anything in this room?" And I was like, "Yeah, I need to get the hell out of here." I was like, because whatever's in here don't like us, and it does not want us around. And and that, come to find out, and he told me nothing about this room. Right. Everybody that came into that room, even because they were in the process of renovating the house. Even the workmen that came in there, the workmen had started refusing to go into that room because of the way it felt.
Yeah.
And apparently it was the spirit of, I don't really think she was negative as in, bad, but she was the head housekeeper.
Right. She just didn't want y'all messing with her home.
Exactly. And that's what they said when we were doing interviews about it and talking to the people who knew the history of the place, and they were like, "Oh, well, that definitely sounds like her," because she controlled the house with an iron fist.
There you go.
You guys didn't have her permission to be there.
Right.
And she looked, everybody that came in there to do anything, from a paranormal investigation to put a coat of paint on a wall, she felt like was her responsibility.
Well, at Buchanan Log House, there's a secondary house there named Addison House where his son Addison lived. And for the longest time, whenever one of the workers would go in, he had that same feeling that he was not welcome whatsoever. And we eventually found out it was because Addison's first wife was there. And, back in the day, women weren't alone with men that weren't their husbands. And he wasn't knocking and asking to come in. He was just barging in like it was his house, which everybody does because you don't realize.
Yeah.
But once he started knocking on the door and waiting and saying, "Hey, it's Josh, I want to come in," they fully accepted him. They appreciated that we all, to this day, when we go into the Addison house, we knock first, just to let them know. Because, I mean, that's the courteous thing. You wouldn't want somebody coming into your house
Exactly.
that you didn't know. And so once we started that, all the negative energy left.
You know, we actually had a guest. Well, actually, one of our other podcasts that we produced. They had a guest on, and they went to the Stanley Hotel.
Yeah.
You know, and you know they have those card keys things. You know, the magnetic cards that open the doors.
Right.
Well, they check in, they get the cards, they go up, they go in the room, and everything's fine. They go out and do something else. They come back, the card won't work.
Right.
They go back to the desk, and the guy says, "Well, just knock on the door, tell the spirit to please unlock the door and let you in, and the card will work." And that's what they did, and it worked.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, we thought so too, but that's what actually happened. They said the desk clerk actually said, "Just knock on the door, tell the spirit to please let you in."
Yeah.
And you know, they tried the card key, and the card key worked fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because I do a lot more research, and I don't know if it's development or doofenshmirtzness, but whatever they want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what I do. I do research and build stuff and whatever, but we do a lot of EVP work.
Right.
You know, different techniques for EVP and all kind of stuff we've played with. And my roommate Mark wasn't home; he was at work.
Yeah.
So I'm doing EVP stuff, and I get one. It says, "Where's Mark?" And that's a little freaky because first off, I knew that Mark lived here, and I also knew that Mark wasn't at home.
Right.
So then I'm looking behind myself, thinking, "Oh, okay," you know, because it was a little unnerving, you know.
It is.
I mean, even though I've been doing it for over 20 years, it's still a little unnerving.
Well, when it directly affects you, yeah.
It's a direct question about somebody else who lives in the house. Well, where's Mark? Oh,
yeah.
You know, no, he's not here. But, yeah, I mean, stuff like that, it's amazing the stuff that you get. What kind of equipment do you guys prefer? What do you like?
We get a lot of EVPs as well. We're old school in that we still use flashlights a lot. Because some of the places that we have gone, like Buchanan, Miss Lucinda especially, prefers to communicate that way. That's what she likes. That's easiest for her. And so we do it. Usually what we'll do is we'll put out, go around first and put out the tape recorders and K2s and video cameras and whatnot, and trail cameras. And then we'll let our equipment run. Then after we've set up, we'll go eat dinner and come back. So we have that full hour or two of nothing, but yet they've seen us putting stuff out so they can kind of familiarize themselves with the equipment before we even actually start asking questions.
Which is actually smart because also there's no human contamination of the scene for an hour.
Right.
If there's nobody else in the building and you get, say, footsteps in the building and you know that it's locked up or whatever and there's nobody in there.
Right.
And you get a footstep or a voice or whatever it may be, then you know, well, it wasn't one of us because we were all down at the Waffle House or wherever having breakfast. It wasn't us.
Exactly.
So that's actually quite smart.
And it actually gives you the house sounds when no one's in the house. What those house sounds sound like, so that when you go back to listen to an EVP, you can say, "Oh yeah, that's a house sound," or "Wait a second, that's not a house sound."
Yeah, right. Because you have to have baseline. You have to have baseline.
Correct.
Noise traffic for a home or whatever, same as you would for. And I know some people nowadays, they don't put a lot of significance in EMF, but EMF is good, especially if it's high, because it
Oh,
can
yeah.
cause, EMF psychosis can cause all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Your brain is your brain's gonna misfire all over the place. I mean, you could be hearing Elvis sing for all you know.
Exactly.
If you get a high enough EMF, you have all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Well, and we also use different types of EMF meters, which helps too. We don't use just the standard ones with the lights.
Right.
Yeah. I know I kind of like to build gadgets.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about using a flashlight. I built a gadget that because everybody says, well, flashlight thing, if it's the wrong kind of flashlight, it could be a false positive or whatever.
Right.
But I built a gadget, and all it is a button hooked up to an LED. And if you push the button, the light comes on.
Yeah.
And I've actually got a team that I'm hoping that we're interviewing next week. That I'm actually going to meet with them later on this week, and or next week actually now, and hoping to have that taken out and tested and see if they get any results with it. But the way I look at it, we've been doing this stuff. Well, I've been doing it for 20 years, and people have been doing it for a lot longer than that. We still don't know what an EVP is.
Right.
And we don't know how it exactly works.
Right.
We don't know the mechanism of that. When we hear a recording and you hear what sounds like a voice on a recorder, but we don't know the mechanism of action of how that got there.
Right.
And so that's the kind of stuff that I work on a lot. Joe and I, we brainstorm all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We broadcast specific frequencies out to see if it made a difference. And I have to ask you, have you had on your EVPs, have you ever heard of static discharge before the recording? Like a pop, like a static pop?
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to one of the engineers at Alpha Labs that makes the trifield meters.
Right.
And he's very open-minded. We've talked a good bit. And he thinks that a lot of it is static electric. Because that would make sense.
Yeah.
Because your body, of course, as you know, has a static, produces electricity.
Right.
And we don't know what happens after you die, if it's a natural progression to become spirit or whatever. We don't know if it's the next phase in the cycle. We have no idea about that for sure. But I'm actually working on a static detector that might be of some use for that. Only because we see it so much. We've had it happen several times. We'll have an EVP and you'll hear a static discharge.
Right.
And the capacitor letting go. It's holding charge and it lets go and then the voice comes.
Right.
So there's got to be some connection there. So that's the kind of stuff we work on. We kind of think outside the box a little bit and just try new stuff, because what can it hurt? That's what we tell everybody when we talk to them. What can it hurt? Try something different.
Exactly.
Because the same old tired stuff isn't cutting it.
Right. Now, we did recently, a friend of ours that's in Memphis with a team there told us about these, and it's we use motion activated lights, but there's a cat toy, and it's just a ball, and it lights up if it's moved. And so we get good results with those now too, because all it takes is just a little bit of movement and there's flashing lights everywhere. So those are pretty cool.
That would actually be interesting to use.
Yeah, we've started incorporating that into all of our investigations now, and we've gotten some good results.
Do you use anything vibration sensor wise?
Sue, I don't know.
Well, I think Chris has a gadget that does that. He doesn't come with us on all our investigations, but I think he just purchased one. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. He may have used it last time at Buchanan Mags. Do you know if he had it there with him then?
Oh, I don't recall. Sorry.
I just wondered.
I remember hearing him talk about it, though, now that you mentioned that.
Yeah, he did get
but
one.
Of course, the motion activated are going to pick up on the vibration, too, depending on how sensitive they are.
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Very true.
You know, I like to talk to teams about the gear they use because everybody has different things. And, you know, the way we look at it, at least for our team, we don't mind sharing. If you want to say, well, we use this and we got something, try it. Works for you. You know,
exactly.
Because we want somebody else to verify our data. If what we got happens for us, if it happens for you too, that means there's something to it.
Exactly.
If not, that means, well, maybe what we got was an anomaly or it screwed up and didn't work right. We don't know. You know, and for so many years, there's been a thing in the paranormal, like all the other fields, where our data is our data and we're not going to share.
Right.
You know, and
we don't mind doing that at all. We share with the other groups that we speak to about things, because the more you know, obviously, the better you can be and hopefully answer some of those questions that you have.
Well, that's our feeling too. We have been known to call BS.
Oh yeah.
On people, we'll do it in a minute.
Oh yeah.
And we really don't care who it is. And we've had people that, you know, we're sorry now, but we're going to call BS on something. And if you don't like it, then don't listen to our show anymore. You know, that's all right. We don't care. I mean, we would like for you to, but because some of the stuff that we hear is just so awful.
Yeah.
That you just got to say, no, we can't let that go by.
Right. Yeah. And you do have to call people out on stuff, because then the general public, who they don't know any better, totally buy into that, and it's something that's completely fake, and it makes all of us look bad, you know?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's like, you know, and it seems to me to be the squeaky wheel getting the grease. You know, it's the teams like that seem to get the most attention, because, and honestly, it's one of those things where you like want to just look at them and go, you do realize they're not laughing with you, they're laughing at you, right?
Right.
You know, you are a joke, but the problem is you're the joke that everyone's seeing, so they automatically think, hey, everyone that does this is just like them.
Right.
No, we're not. You are the idiots of the world, you know, of the field.
There's always those bad apples, you know?
Yeah. You know, that's, very, very true. Well, ladies, it's been great having you on. Now, just before we do go, I wanted to, I know your site, bbbghosthunters.com, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And if anyone in the area does have a problem or does have wanted information, of course, follow along to see when you're doing your next live investigation, because it actually sounds like it'd be awesome to go on one with you guys. And if I didn't live out in the middle of the frozen tundra of northwestern Canada, I would.
Right. Now, I will say that we're also on Facebook, and we keep that Facebook page, which is just Bench Breaking Broads Ghost Hunters, has more videos and EVPs and stuff on the Facebook page than our website, just because it's so much easier to update.
Exactly. It's so much easier just to put this. That's the same thing. I like I said, I actually build websites, but our website for PNBC versus the Facebook page, the Facebook page is always getting updated, because it's so much easier just to set and hit a couple of buttons and it's done. You don't have to worry about nothing. You know?
Right.
So yes, I can believe
Right.
that's the best way to get in touch with you is on your Facebook page then.
Yes, it would be. Of course, if they want to get in touch with us through the website, just send an email. I try and respond as soon as I see those emails come through. And each one of us has our own email address on there. Like Sue would be Sue at BBB Ghost Hunters, Helen at bbbghosthunters.com, and Mags at bbbghosthunters.com. But yeah, either Facebook or through the website, either way's a good way to get in touch with us. But if you want to watch, all the investigations that we can do Facebook Live on, that all gets posted on there.
Awesome. So that even more, you get to actually see you doing it live.
Exactly.
Well, I'll tell you, I will actually be sharing that Facebook page onto our Night Stalker page. That way everybody can kind of get on and see what you guys are about before the interview comes out. And again,
sure.
I want to thank you all for being on here, Mags, and making sure I get the correct names here. Mags, Sue, and Helen.
Yes.
It has been a great time. And again, thank you. We'd love to have you on again sometime. And hopefully without the computer snafus that we were having earlier that kind of fried my brain mid-interview.
That's fine. We really appreciate it. You guys have been great.
And if you ever get down to Myrtle Beach, drop me a line. Got some spots we can go investigate.
Sure, definitely. That sounds fun.
All right, ladies, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, or at least a good rest of Sunday here. And again, thanks for being on, and we'd love to have you on again. And
sounds great. Anytime, just let us know.
Have a good night.
Hey, you too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.